first smelled like gas, and it smelled like feces, and then it smelled like death.
Now remember, when we open this is something that we're never going to be able to unsee. Is it a bloodbath in there?
On May 22, 2019, police in Sturgis, Michigan listened to an anonymous 911 caller read them an address. Inside this home, the caller explained, they would find the missing 42-year-old Kelly Jean Warner Miller. Little did authorities know that single phone call would launch the most shocking investigation of their careers, one that required uncovering secret after haunting secret, all buried within an exceptionally twisted and sadistic mind. The following footage has never been seen before. When Kelly Jean, known as KJ, went missing in April 2019, no red flags went up. There were no frantic phone calls to 911 and no weary search parties. But it wasn't because KJ wasn't loved. The trouble was that her lifestyle was transient. She was estranged from her family and had untreated mental health struggles. This meant that sometimes long periods of absence were the norm for KJ. So when police received a 911 call sending them to an address to look for her, and officers found themselves standing on the doorstep of an ordinary-looking apartment, it was hard to believe the call was even real. After all, this wasn't the kind of thing one saw in the small town of Sturgis, Michigan. But there was only one way to find out.
She said inside on the left. Hi, Wade.
Hey, Wade. How you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
I remember you from the Speedway.
Yeah. What are you up to now?
Not much.
Answering the door is 35-year-old Wade Allen.
We're looking for Kimberly.
Kelly?
Or Kelly.
You know Kelly?
Kimberly or Kelly?
From the shelter, maybe?
KJ?
KJ?
Yeah.
At first, Wade seems confused, and for good reason. It's close to midnight, and he's been startled awake by several armed officers knocking on his door. Wade recently came to live in this apartment after a period of homelessness, and KJ was an acquaintance from a shelter he frequented in Kalamazoo.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard from that person in some months.
Do you know her?
I haven't heard from her in a while. The last time I've seen her is couple months, and last I heard she's in Kalamazoo. I think the best way for me to help you get a hold of her is through the shelter.
The eerie atmosphere is palpable. With a call like this, officers can't simply take Wade's words as fact. They need to confirm what, if anything, is behind his front door.
Well, we just need to talk to her.
Do you mind if we come and look, see if make sure she's not here?
I can tell you she's not. I mean,
According to Wade, he and KJ had lost touch recently after she suddenly stopped responding to his Facebook messages.
As far as here, I don't like just... My place is a mess, and I don't like just people coming and going all the time.
We don't care. We see all sorts of apartments and homes and...
Well,
all we gotta do is verify she's not here, and then we can get out of here and be done with it.
I don't know. I feel iffy. If you guys want to come by another time, just not right now. Let me at least have a day where I can clean up and do things.
Okay. Well, here's the deal, Wade. If we gotta get a search warrant, we will. All right. We don't want to go that route.
I know.
That's a lot of work for all of us, including you. So, if we gotta do that, we're gonna have to detain you and put you in the car for a little while. All right, until we get that search warrant. It'll take a couple hours. If she's in there, can you just have her come out and say I'm fine?
Well, she's not though. That's the thing. Like, I mean, I can open up and I'll say, "Hey, KJ, Kelly," and there's no Kelly or KJ.
You mind if I just stand here and look in?
You can. I mean, I don't have her here.
Okay.
Eventually, Wade agrees to let one officer, one he's met in the past, search his apartment.
Do you want if it's just one of you then?
One of us is fine.
Do you want to come in?
I'll go in, Wade. Thank you.
I know you know me enough. Like,
yeah, I just
It's not much, but I don't have, I mean, I got my friend's sunglasses here, but not much of anything. And then I got all this plant in my bedroom. You see? Now here, I had her suitcase from when she was here. Just me, and if I do have a guest, I have a bed.
As Wade guides the officers through his home, nothing in particular is jumping out. But just as it seems the search is coming to a close, one thing catches the officer's eye.
I don't have anyone here.
Okay.
I just
All right, man.
myself.
What's in the cooler?
Oh, that's for when the summer comes around. I'm gonna have parties and stuff. So.
All right, no problem. Can you open that for me, and then we'll get out of here?
Well, not right now. I can't. Like, I mean, I want to save that for later.
Okay.
For when the summer gets here. So. But I showed you. She hasn't been here in forever.
Okay. Well, why don't you just open that cooler, and we'll get out of here. I just want to make sure anywhere that she could be hiding.
She's not gonna be hiding.
Well, I just need to know that, okay?
No, I mean, I can help you out there, but I've shown you everything.
Okay.
Wade seems eager to end the search and get back to bed, but his strangely evasive behavior is only working against him.
All right.
You want to open that cooler for me?
Well,
Can you open the fridge for me? Make sure she's not hiding in there?
there's no point in the fridge either. Like, I mean, it's just food and stuff.
I understand.
You know?
All right. Why don't you throw your shoes on real quick?
Well, I helped you out. I showed you.
You did partially, but do you have shoes you can throw on real quick?
A little bit. But here, I'll help you. You know.
Okay, I'll help you out. Go on out.
Well, I gotta
You're detained right now, okay? Go on out.
I'm detained.
You're detained right. Walk
Well,
out there.
As the walls seem to close in on Wade, he's forced to make a decision. He can stick to his guns or prove to the police that they really have nothing to worry about.
You said let me get my shoes on.
You're not gonna get them on now. I'm giving you the opportunity to walk out there. Do it now. You got anything illegal on you?
No, I don't.
Okay, put your hands behind your back.
You got a knife or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Why don't you turn around against the wall real slowly?
Being detained, I'm just.
Just want the opportunity to look the rest of the way through the apartment, okay?
Well, I showed you everything. Here, let me.
Do you want to show me?
I will. I showed you everything.
Why don't you walk back in there and show me then?
But I did. You see?
Can I look in that fridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's something.
Okay. I see she's not in there.
What do you want to be in a fridge?
I understand that, but we gotta look. We found people in some crazy places.
With no sign of KJ, Wade makes no attempt to hide his frustration with police.
She wouldn't have to hide.
Well, I don't know her. I don't know anything about her. I don't know if she's hiding from the law or hiding from her family or what she's doing.
Well, I
so
don't think she would.
I just want to verify. Okay. Can I look in that cooler over there?
That's kind of, like I said, later on and summer stuff, but I'm trying to keep my stuff kind of private, you know?
Well, that's fine. All I want to do is open it, say, KJ, you in there? And then close it right back up, and I'll get out of here. You'll be out of handcuffs, and we'll be gone.
Well, let's have a warrant for the rest of this, and I'll just
Okay.
get detained.
Okay.
I don't understand why all this.
Seemingly confused at the invasion of his personal space, Wade agrees to wait it out while officers request a search warrant.
Why don't you just have a seat right there?
Well, do you mind if I wait out here? I mean,
No, I got to type up a search warrant. But at this point, I'm suspicious that she is in there.
why?
So, because you won't let me look in that cooler or any other big boxes in there. I didn't see anything else I need to look through, but that big cooler, I have no idea what size she is. If she's a little person, you could probably put two of her in that cooler. That cooler was that big. So basically, I was going to make sure she's not hidden in there. It took you a little while to answer your door, so I don't know if she was...
The reason why I took a while is because I had to get dressed.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. If you were in bed, yeah. But in the meantime, you could have been telling somebody to go hide in the cooler. I don't know. She's not in trouble. We just have a job to do.
As officers repeatedly ask Wade to wait in the cruiser, he does everything he can think of to avoid the back seat.
I actually like to stay out here if that's okay.
Well, we can't.
Sit right here if that's okay. Yes.
You can sit long ways across the seat, but you gotta get all the way in. You want to put your back towards the other door, you can, or whatever's more comfortable for you.
Once Wade finally gets settled, officers catch up a few feet away, and they're quick to voice concerns.
Well, he's trying to steer me away from this big old cooler that's in the corner of this living room. It's a big, huge green cooler, and you've got boxes stacked on top of it.
Meanwhile, a somewhat cooperative Wade is still squirming in the back of the squad car.
I feel claustrophobic.
Okay.
I really am.
Well, all right, we'll head back there, okay? We'll put you...
I'm really feeling claustrophobic right now.
Okay. Well, we could end this all. You could take me in there and let me look around more, or we can... I've got to take you back and put you in a cell while I'm doing the search warrant. So.
All right, well, let me go back then.
As Wade silently leads the officer back to his apartment, a strange energy hangs heavy in the air.
All I'm concerned about is any closets or any coolers.
Like I said, just in here, not much.
Okay. Can I pop it open? Just take a peek?
Well, yeah, if you want.
Okay. Why don't you step back for a second?
Okay.
What's in there?
Just stuff.
Okay. All right. Let's head out here. Head out here.
Everything's good now.
Yep. Everything's good.
I showed you everything.
Yep. You're under arrest, okay?
Under arrest?
Yes, you are.
All right.
Gotta get the crime task force out here.
Can I have a soda, please?
Just keep walking.
Once outside and back in the patrol car, Wade seems eager to fill the silence.
This situation happened, and
Yeah. Yep.
this is probably the best way for me to put it right now.
The officers already seem to have an idea that something horrible happened in that apartment, but they couldn't yet know just how twisted things will get by the end of this disturbing case.
I am currently sitting on a car with a guy in the back seat who has done something bad.
As some of the officers begin searching the apartment, others transport Wade to the station and settle in for a long night, doing their best to put him at ease. Whatever happened, they need to know the full story. When he does start to talk, the story he has to tell is only a small piece of the truth, and what really happened to KJ is far more disturbing than anyone could have ever imagined.
We got some homemade cookies in there that are really good. You want a couple cookies?
I better pass on that.
You want a couple of them, or?
Yeah, I'm a greedy guy.
Okay. All right. We will get you hooked up. All right, man. Here's some cookies. I can get started on those.
Soon the detective arrives. While Wade insinuated earlier that KJ was merely a distant friend, it's not long before that story changes.
And I think it goes back to like 2013 with her.
Okay.
And we started being friends, but we started probably dating sometime after that.
So would it be fair to say that you've known Kelly Jean since 2013 and recently?
Oh, I've known her before that, but that was just when she added me on Facebook.
Recently, according to Wade, he even lived with KJ in his current apartment.
All right, Wade, so what I would like to know from you is, in your own words, what happened to Kelly Jean?
I know she's been through a lot. And really a lot. Might take a little bit to describe because there's a lot.
Please take your time. I have nowhere else to be. So I will bear with you. Officer Wire will bear with you.
Absolutely.
If you need a tissue, there's plenty of tissues there.
Earlier, the search of Wade's apartment revealed some chilling discoveries.
So there's a rope, there's a bungee cords. You got the trash bag.
Some type of ribbon.
Bungee.
Looks like a female belt.
Girl shoes, those green ones.
That's what it looks like.
I'll start with saying that she's hyperglycemic.
Okay.
Alright, so her eating levels are important. She has to have a certain amount of sugars or whatever. I only bring that to attention because I know at one point while she was making cereal, she fainted and really hurt her head, and it really concerned me. Because a little after that, I started seeing impairment issues, whether speech, memory, things like that. I was concerned.
How long ago would you say that was?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, right here. You seeing this?
For her, that incident had to have happened in March.
Okay, so it's been a little bit ago.
I want to say March.
When she fell, did she become unconscious? Did she knock herself out? Did she just kind of stun herself? Did she?
She was unconscious for a little bit.
Okay, about how long would you say a little bit would be?
Well, I would say 5 to 10 minutes, and even though that might seem like a little bit to me, that's a long time for someone to be unconscious.
And as Wade tells it, KJ's symptoms lingered in the days after her fall, and they weren't subtle. She had no memory of what happened, and she struggled to carry out daily functions that weren't a challenge for her before. Though KJ did suffer from these symptoms, what Wade is saying happened isn't the full story, and what really happened to her is far more disturbing than just a fall.
And then I was trying to take care of her.
Wade isn't the only person police spoke to. They also asked his neighbor Sherry, who lived right next door, to come to the station to answer some questions and hopefully shed some light on what really happened to KJ. According to Sherry, she and Wade had a cordial relationship, occasionally spending evenings watching TV together in her apartment. But Wade made a comment about KJ that left Sherry feeling concerned.
Also, he told me that she had fallen in the bathroom and that he thought she might have a skull fracture.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, you need to take her to the emergency room. He goes, I'm taking care of her.
This development immediately put officers on high alert. In the story he told officers, Wade explained KJ fell in the kitchen while making cereal. In this version, Wade said she fell in the bathroom. This is only the first of many red flags in this story.
She wasn't able to feed herself. And that really concerned me. I did my best to try to help feed her. So one time I came in, I saw her sitting on the tub, and I tried to feed her this meal. One of these freezer bangers, I have a bunch of those. And it was chili. And she was just kind of like holding it like this. And then she just moving so slow. And there was just chili all over her.
Wade explained that KJ even struggled to drink water at times, despite his attempts to help her.
Did you try to get some medical treatment for her, see what was going on, anything like that?
I didn't take her, no. I didn't know if she could move or get around.
What do you mean by that?
She just wasn't walking all that fast. Like I said, her motor skills were not good. I did start talking to her caseworker about how she might need an adult foster care. You know, because before even that, there were issues of bladder control problems. Like on my bed, I got a big old yellow stain for where she'd be on that. She in the kitchen, like she had issues with bladder control.
Sherry, Wade's neighbor, had more to share. Over time, she'd grown to feel extremely uneasy in his company. It wasn't long before an eerie and unprompted confession validated her strange feelings about Wade. From here, the story takes an even darker turn, suggesting that what police know about Wade so far barely scratches the surface.
He told me that he hit women.
He told you that he hit women.
Yeah. And that he was working on it, because I've been through domestic violence, and I told him, you can't do that, you know? I said, you can go to jail for that. He goes, I know, I'm working on it.
After Wade's comments, Sherry remained friendly, but guarded, and she decided to ease off of their visits.
I thought, I don't want him in my house because he can do anything.
Right.
Within 2 weeks of KJ's supposed fall, Wade claims that something terrible happened. Keep in mind that he knows the officers are working their way through his apartment, and he knows what they're going to find. He's setting himself up with a story he thinks will explain away the stomach-churning evidence.
I figured she'd be okay in a bathtub, just taking a bath. No. So I started the water for her. I thought she'd be okay if she was laying down, not standing up. I wouldn't have to watch over her.
She wouldn't fall.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I see her in the morning, she wasn't breathing, and what really shocked me is when I saw her feet. And it means that she started with hot water, and I don't know, didn't have the strength to turn the knob, or I can't understand why she didn't turn it or adjust it, or and I don't know if that was the cause of death. Is hot water, or if maybe she tried to get up and fell or something. I don't know. I seriously do want to know what the cause of death was, because I really don't know.
With this claim, Wade has confirmed that KJ isn't missing. She's dead.
When you left the bathroom, how was she positioned?
She was laying in the tub.
Okay. So this is where I don't see anything on the outside of the fridge. The naked eye. See anything underneath? No, either. Oh my gosh. And did you go back in there?
I went to sleep.
You went to sleep.
I thought she would be okay.
Authorities struggle to understand Wade's logic. In what world would someone leave a person who was incapable of eating, drinking, or moving around without help alone in a tub full of water? There's one very good reason for this. Wade isn't telling them the truth. While on a break in the back room, officers wrestle with ideas about what's really going on.
This guy, not all there.
He's not all there. We thought I figured that you could choke him up pretty easy, but he's either really good or he's just, I don't think he's all there.
As the police will soon learn, it isn't that Wade is out of his mind. Rather, he's attempting to manipulate them in order to hide the truth of what really happened to KJ. But the horrors uncovered back at his apartment will reveal an entirely different version of events.
So your cast's off. Something's right there, because that's CS.
Hurts over here. Works its way down. See it on a...
Yeah. It looks like it hit pretty level.
It's almost like it's all the way across.
When the officers interviewing Wade return to speak with him, they press him further, hoping to get a story that makes sense. What Wade soon tells them is chilling.
And then when did you go back into the bathtub? Or the bathroom, I'm sorry.
Not till morning when I woke up and realized she wasn't in bed with me.
Was the water still running, or was the water off?
Water was off, so she had to have turned it at some point. Had to have.
Was her head above water or below the water?
Water.
Below water. Okay. What happened at that point? Did you call 911? Did you call anybody at all?
My parents.
If KJ's death was truly an accident, it's hard to fathom why Wade wouldn't immediately call for help. Wade has also just lied to police, or at the very least, he's leaving something integral out of this story. Given the 911 call reporting KJ's death, Wade had to have told someone about KJ's death.
He had her in the bathtub for a little while, and I don't think he's going to be very cooperative with you.
Okay. Well,
So,
most people aren't.
It turns out that Wade had no question in his mind about the identity of the mysterious caller who reported him to the authorities.
I only have one friend which probably made the call, and I'm not going to be upset with him. He probably got to the point where his conscience got to him too.
And Wade was right. The caller was his own best friend, Stephen Ryan Russ. Wade explained that after everything had happened, his only way to cope with KJ's death was to tell someone. So he confided in Stephen. But what he told him was so disturbing that Stephen couldn't keep it to himself. When police bring Stephen in for questioning, it's clear from the start he has reservations about speaking up.
Is this going to be in court?
This could possibly be used in court, yeah.
So Wade's going to know about this?
He already knows.
No.
All right. So the whole case came to light when Central Dispatch got a call regarding Wade and KJ. Do you know about that call?
Yes, I do.
Did you place that call to Central Dispatch?
Yes, I did.
And what was that call in reference to?
My family was getting very scared of him, and it was to the point that they couldn't even sleep, so I had to do something.
Stephen continues, explaining the series of Facebook messages that turned his world upside down.
He said that he did something and that he can't talk to anyone about it. And I was like, well, I'm your brother. You can talk to me.
According to Stephen, Wade then explained that KJ had passed away unexpectedly and he didn't report her death to the police.
He wanted us to help him move the body with the car, and we both told him no, that we can't do that. And I was like, you're one of my closest friends, and I'll keep your secret for you, but obviously I couldn't.
In interrogation, Wade tries to explain his choice to hide KJ's death, hoping to ease detective suspicions.
It's hard to feel like I can be honest if I feel like I go through scenarios all the time where I'm accused, and
Well, I can tell you, we're not here making any accusation. We're just here to
it's hard to
figure
trust.
out what happened.
I didn't do the right action. I probably should have reported. I should have done something's right, and I just felt like whatever I would have said would have just been taken the wrong way or said the wrong way. And
By now, Wade knew he was in trouble. KJ's body was still in his apartment, and he needed it gone. Stephen eventually paid him a visit, and things only got worse.
He's asked me if I wanted to see the body, and I told him no. I really didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't even want to be in there because it felt like there was an elephant sitting on my chest.
When asked why Wade would keep KJ's body in the apartment, Stephen gave an answer that only hinted at the truth.
My guess is because he didn't have the means of getting rid of it.
I treated it like I was guilty of the situation. I felt like no matter what I say or do, I was just going to be guilty. But I figured even no matter what, that's what I'll do is I want to give her a proper burial somewhere.
Wade's desire to give KJ a proper burial is chilling, and his next comments stir up the eerie feeling that Wade desires some sort of control, a theme that will surface again soon. As disturbing as this story is, it's only the beginning of the sickening revelations because Wade still isn't telling the full story.
At least wherever I'll put her, I would visit her. I wouldn't want her to have, like, nobody visit her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know
I
what
get
you,
that.
I don't know what you guys would do with her now, but if I could know where she was buried, I would like to go.
Cooler was brand new.
Yeah.
Got some paper stuff. I want to look. So
The police then question Wade about what happened after he claims he found KJ dead, and he launches into a truly sickening timeline. But no matter how shocking his revelations seem, they pale in comparison to what's to come when the truth is revealed.
So let's get back to our sequence of how things kind of played out and what happened. So wake up in the morning, she's in the bathtub, she's not breathing. What transpired from there?
Well, it's not pretty, I'll tell you that. Seeing things that I can't unsee, but... Okay, so it took me a while to get some coolers. In the process of that, I would run cold water on her until I got some coolers, because I was like, I mean, you have a lot of detective shows, right?
Sure.
So
They're
they
good.
tell you if you keep the body cold or something, maybe it'll preserve it. I don't know. Maybe I'm ignorant in what I'm thinking, but that's TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen the whole decomposition process. And because I would come in and check on her, and I know she's passed, so I still talk to her.
Okay.
Which probably makes her crazy.
I definitely don't think that it's something that makes you crazy. I mean, it's no different than someone who goes to a gravesite and talks to one of their loved ones who's passed.
First couple days, she's movable, right?
Right.
Then after that, you see like the blood kind of settle where she was laying at.
Mm-hmm.
And a little after that, that's when I start seeing like black around her fingertips and her groin and waistline. And by then she was pretty stiff for a good while. Because when she was laying in the tub, she kind of laid like against the wall, I think, or something. But even after a while, the stiffness faded away, and she just kind of, laid on her shoulder.
Now, Wade was in a pickle. With a decomposing body in his bathtub and with Stephen's refusal to help him move it, it was only a matter of time until someone caught on. So he hatched a plan. On April 12th, around 6 days after KJ's death, Wade saved up the money to buy a large cooler, air freshener, and 30-gallon trash bags.
So what happened at that point? You said that you bought one and then realized you needed a second. What do you mean by that?
Well, I wanted to put her all in one so she could be whole.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't really move her in any kind of way to keep her whole. Nothing I could do to keep her remain whole. That's where it really got gross.
So is it a bloodbath in there?
What happened at that point?
Well, when I had to get the second cooler, I had to put her legs in that one. And I'm not gonna lie, that was the grossest thing ever.
I guess help me understand how she was in one and her legs were in another.
I had to cut her legs so I could fit me out.
Okay, when you say that, you mean that her body was too big for the first cooler? So you couldn't fit her in the first cooler? And was she too stiff to be able to move her around to put her in the cooler?
If I could move her, I would have had her like knees up to her chest or something.
but he couldn't.
When Wade couldn't fit KJ's body into one large cooler, he decided dismemberment was his only option. But he didn't exactly keep a low profile. Instead, he asked to borrow a saw from his neighbor Sherry, not an unusual request if it weren't for his bizarre explanation. According to Sherry, Wade claimed he needed the tool to cut his mattress in half. When he wasn't able to use someone else's saw, he purchased his own from a local supermarket and then got to work.
Where did you cut her legs at?
This is the most disgusting thing ever. Hopefully you never have to see something like this in your life. Ever. Alright, so here and then here. I started here, but then I realized her knees were still over to the edge. So I had to go here too. What I would have wanted to do, except she was too heavy for me, is take her under the shower, get her, wash her off, because after she passed on, she crapped herself. I was like, man, I didn't even know that until I got her into the cooler.
The police working their way through Wade's apartment eventually confronted the sickening discovery hidden in his cooler.
Now remember, when we open this, this is something that we're never going to be able to unsee. Oh, yeah.
Her head, her arms, her breasts.
She's been gone for a while.
Yep. See, her legs are detached and it's above the knee.
Yep. Bugs have made their way in.
Yep. There's a large amount of food fly. Definitely female. Appears to be Caucasian.
Naked, no clothes. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And cut up.
Nice. Okay, now it stinks.
Well, so there's a lot more evidence in here somewhere.
It stinks.
Yeah, now it does.
The officers have only discovered part of what they believe to be KJ's body, but it won't be long before they find the rest.
Good picture of that.
So that's where it is. So you're going to move this. I'll sit right in front of the suitcase. So this cooler is what we think might have the other parts in it. I will lift it up. It is tied in a knot up here. I will cut right here. Yep, those are her legs. I saw some toes and an ankle.
Are you able to open that up?
Yeah, there's 2 of them in there. Okay, it's probably not the best place to puke.
From his apartment, authorities also collected clear safety goggles, rubber gloves, and several small items, including bungee cords, a black belt, and a white ribbon. This white ribbon, a seemingly innocuous discovery compared to the horrors already uncovered, would turn out to be a clue to the stomach-churning truth of what really happened to KJ.
Was her head attached?
Yeah.
She's
in the cooler. She's
Yeah.
this has basically been down like that.
That's all I seen was her arm and part of her chest, and I
Cut
just
off
shut it
about right here.
through the femur.
Authorities shift focus to the saw, which wasn't recovered from Wade's apartment during the initial search. Wade says that shortly after he dismembered KJ's body, he contacted a friend he knew through the local shelter system to negotiate a trade, a saw for a DVD player.
Was there a reason that you got rid of it, or just had it and didn't really need it, or I mean, how did that whole thing play out with Bill?
He needed it, and I needed a DVD player.
While Wade describes trading the saw as a casual, serendipitous event, police catch up with the man who received the saw, and he describes an entirely different scenario.
Like, he really was wanting to give it to me. I'm like, well, just wait till I bring the DVD, because I don't like doing deals where, I owe somebody, because then I got it on the back of my mind constantly, I have to, I owe them. So I was like, just wait. And he's like, no, here, just take it out.
Would you say that he was insisting that you take the saw?
Pretty much, yes, he was insisting. Because I even said, no, not right now.
Did you notice anything about the saw that was weird, different?
Looking at you can see, like, in the serration, it looked like a chunk of something in there.
DNA testing of the saw blade did reveal the possibility of blood present, although further details could not be confirmed.
I mean, I'm not proud of anything at all.
Sure, but stuff happens, and we're just trying to get
not how this should be. Like, I kept saying this word, like, this is not how you should have went. This.
Upon reflection, Bill explained this wasn't the only thing that seemed off when he was around Wade.
And then when you heard about Wade getting arrested, what was the first thought in your mind?
I didn't believe it. I'm like, because I've been hanging out with him. I freaked out because I was sitting on the cooler and I didn't know. I smelled like, now I know what a dead body smelled like, but that smell was there. As soon as I walked in, it was bad. I was just thinking, man, this guy got some nasty bowels or something.
Right.
That's what I honestly thought that was, but now I know that was a body.
By now, the police are more than suspicious that the story Wade is telling them isn't the truth, but just what exactly he was hiding remained to be seen. Still, Sherry, Wade's neighbor, may have had some idea about what was really going on behind the closed door of Wade's apartment. In her interview, she recalled one of the few interactions she ever had with KJ. One day, she stopped by Wade's door to ask for coffee and was surprised when KJ greeted her at the door. Sherry didn't know it at the time, but as KJ peered out from behind the front door, she didn't have a stitch of clothing on. KJ agreed to send Wade over shortly. When he showed up on Sherry's doorstep, coffee in hand, he wasn't happy. According to Sherry, Wade admitted to forcing KJ to walk around their home naked, and by answering the door that day, she'd apparently crossed the line.
He said, she shouldn't have opened the door like that. I said, well, I didn't see anything. And he goes, I'm going to have to get the belt out.
But back in the interrogation room, Wade doesn't do much to refute his neighbor's accusations. In fact, he expands on them.
You've never gone to jail for fighting somebody or pushing somebody or any kind of domestic violence or anything crazy like that?
The domestic things in the past have been dismissed in court.
A pattern is beginning to emerge. While Wade admits fault in some instances, the admissions almost seem calculated, as if they're designed to distract from the larger questions at hand.
I said, if I hear any domestic violence, I'm going to call the police.
Sherry never called the police, but Wade eventually admits to the officers that he did hurt KJ.
All right, I kicked her in the butt because I was ashamed of her cheating on me and such. I shouldn't have, but I did. And then, come to find out in court, she tried to blame these bruises of her ankles on me. I said, I have nothing to do with her ankles. That's false evidence. Because what happened was she fell down by the railroad, again, the balance issue, by the railroad tracks, and that caused the bruises from her ankles rolling.
Not from you kicking her, though.
No.
Gotcha.
Report required.
Guess she had reason for concern.
Soon, officers place Wade in a holding cell while they continue to investigate, and as if it were everyday conversation, Wade nonchalantly confirms his neighbor's allegations. Earlier, when Wade was first brought in, he contemplated his choice to hide KJ's death. Most disturbingly, despite knowing what the officers at his apartment were going to discover and knowing what he had done, he somehow still had an appetite to eat the cookies offered to him.
All right, Wade, so what I would like to know from you is, in your own words, what happened to Kelly Jean?
On the day I found her like that, if I had called it in, would there be a different outcome? Anything different?
Yeah, I don't. It just depends on when it was and all that.
His indifference was yet another subtle sign of the horrors to come, but still, no one can prepare themselves for the nauseating story that is eventually revealed.
When was the last time you used a belt on her?
Probably a day or two before. But,
Before she died?
yeah, but that couldn't cause death.
I wouldn't think it would. So yeah. Why'd you use a belt on her?
Because I don't want to use hands.
Okay. What did she do to deserve the belt?
Oh, her coming back type thing.
Okay. So it's punishment to her.
But that's my point. I started using the belt because I didn't want to use hands anymore.
Okay.
That's why I'm not saying it's that much better, okay? I shouldn't be physical anyways.
Sherry had a different theory, one that was sickeningly close to the truth.
I never really saw her because I think that he was keeping her in there and not wanting anybody to see her.
By now, authorities know more than they're letting on, and with one question, they signal to Wade that his house of lies is about to collapse around him.
We're not going to find any belt marks around her neck, are we? That's just a question I got asked.
I don't think you will, no.
What if we do?
I don't think you should be finding things, but
With Wade's history of alleged violence, authorities are hoping for first-hand witnesses, and when they catch up with his most recent ex-girlfriend, Katie, they get more than they bargained for. Katie explained that she'd known Wade since childhood, and their relationship became romantic in 2018, just 1 year prior. But it was short-lived, ending abruptly after only 3 months.
So what happened that ended your guys' relationship?
Okay, so my kids had just started school again, and I needed to be home with them, and so I couldn't do whatever he was asking me to do, like pick him up or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up showing up here, but I had my kids and I could not take him.
Mm-hmm.
And he started to fight out here, and I finally was like, okay, just get in the car, like I'll take you just to get you away from me. And my kids were in the back seat, and he was in the front seat with me. And we were driving towards Kalamazoo, and he realized that I was going to leave him there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something, and I just put my hand across. I didn't even touch him. I just was like, stop. Like, just stop. My kids are right there. Like, you're freaking out. And he told me that he would break my arm if I ever did that again. And so my daughter she's a diabetic, and she started, I didn't know at the time, but she was like, Mom, my sugar's going low. But she was just faking it to get back home.
No.
And
Smart girl.
so I got us back here. My kids got in the house. I got away from him out of the car. And he's like, just get back in the car and take me. And I'm like, no, I'm not getting back in the car. And I put like a bicycle and a chair between us, and I wouldn't let him get close enough. He's like, no, I'm not going to hurt you. Just come here. Let's just figure this out. And I was like, no. You need to find like somewhere else to go, somewhere, like get away from me. I don't want anything to do with you.
And before the detective leaves, she suggests something far more sinister may be at play.
If I wouldn't have ended things when I did, that would have been me. And that's terrifying to me.
As police slowly gather more pieces to this puzzle, a clearer picture starts to emerge. Authorities are ready to confront Wade. Unsurprisingly, Wade uses the opportunity to smooth over his story, but in the process, he trips up.
he says, well, why didn't she scream or anything? I've never seen that woman scream. Never. I might have only seen her cry maybe 4 times.
Okay. What caused her to cry?
2 times was pain related. Like where she got hurt, she cried.
How'd she get hurt? Did she cut herself bad, or was it a broken bone, or?
Just, I don't know if I don't even want to really talk about that. I just know that that's the only time I've ever seen her cry.
Okay.
It's twice out of pain.
Okay.
And twice when I left her alone.
You don't want to talk about it because did you cause the pain to her? And you can be honest with me, Wade. It's all about getting everything off your chest.
When I left her alone, I know when she cried being alone, I caused that emotional pain. Physical pain. I don't think me causing her physical pain caused her to cry. I think, well, maybe.
Maybe it was a little physical pain from you.
Talking about causing pain to people is just not something I get a thrill out of. It's not.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I just don't want to talk about that. That's not appropriate. It's not. No.
Ironically, despite Wade's claims here, he would eventually talk about this very subject, and it would be what law enforcement needed to break his case wide open. Soon the officer stands to leave the room. Sensing Wade's desperation, he presses a little more.
When we do the autopsy, what marks are we going to find that was from scuffles between the two of you?
Like her lips might be messed up, or.
Why would her lips be messed up? From. And you can speak to me, man. It's just between me and you.
Physical stuff, but it was not something that would cause her to go through it. Like that night was a peaceful night. Okay, I want that very clear.
Well, we're getting somewhere now. Now I'm starting to see a little bit.
Before wrapping up, the officer gives Wade one last chance to come clean.
I got 30 seconds before I got to walk out of here. Okay.
Okay.
So you look me straight in the eye and tell me that you're not the cause of her death.
No, I'm not.
While police know Wade isn't telling them everything, they never could have imagined the stories of depravity that would follow this interrogation, and eventually KJ's autopsy would reveal a sickening story. After Wade was booked, the disturbing, stomach-churning truth was revealed. Authorities received statements from several of his cellmates requesting to speak with them. One by one, these men explained that Wade had shared every gruesome detail about what really happened to KJ. And proudly, what they revealed shocked everyone.
What did Wade Allen tell you guys?
Man, dude, this guy is, well, let me just put it to you like this. He's a serial killer. He told us that he physically had this girl down on the bed with a white ribbon around her neck, watching the clock for 5 minutes until she was dead. And he brought her back to life.
If you recall, police found ribbon while in Wade's apartment.
Some type of ribbon?
And when he did, the torture that he put her through, it's gross. It's disgusting.
This is only the beginning of the horrifying reveals. Although Wade's alleged jailhouse stories vary slightly, several of his cellmates agree on a few particularly gruesome details about what happened to KJ.
He told her, he says, you're going to die by someone that loves you and not somebody that hates you.
Curiously, investigators discovered that KJ's very last Facebook message was to Wade on March 18th, the same day she suddenly dropped all activity. The message read, "I love you, you are mine, and I am yours forevermore. I know that you can't reply, but I wanted to tell you this every day." This ominous message was just the beginning.
And you said he brought her back? What do you mean by that? What did
He gave her CPR. That dude needs to be put away for a long time, man.
As police interview cellmate after cellmate, they each build on the same story. And as they continue, what was already a tragic story evolves into one of pure, unbridled evil. According to the men housed with Wade, his sick actions may have started long before KJ's death. They claim Wade had a jealous and controlling streak, and as one cellmate tells it, KJ's life changed drastically after she confided in a mutual friend about her relationship troubles.
his friend had a conversation with him and said that that Kelly had told his girlfriend that Wade was being too rough with her as far as sexuality went.
Mm-hmm.
Wade said that from that point on, he was furious because his sexual matters weren't to be discussed with his friends. They were personal. So he said he never let her go to whoever's house that was again. That from that day on, when he went to work, he started tying her up and placing her in the closet.
And if binding KJ alone in a dark closet for hours on end wasn't sickening enough, another inmate describes an unthinkably heinous act.
He gagged her with a screwdriver and a horse rag, and he would put a horse rag around into the screwdriver and made it like a horse bit. That's why you wouldn't have to take the bit out of her mouth, because he could wet the horse rag and give her water, so he'd keep her tied up longer without having to untie her.
And what was the purpose of that?
So she couldn't yell and scream.
According to Wade's cellmates, KJ initially fought back against Wade's mistreatment. When she threatened to go to the police, Wade amped up his efforts to silence her.
Wade started tying her up and keeping her to where she couldn't go anywhere. Like, she didn't go outside, she didn't go nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that Sherry had been right all along.
I think that he was keeping her in there and not wanting anybody to see her.
According to his cellmates, the truth behind KJ's death was so twisted, so unimaginably brutal, that it kept them up at night. In fact, after they heard Wade's latest retelling of events, the men took shifts sleeping, making sure there was always someone keeping an eye on him. His cellmates said that after Wade choked KJ to the brink of death, she lost her motor function, the ability to speak, and the ability to control her bowels and bladder. Then, she remained alive in this helpless state for around 2 weeks before her death.
He said he didn't know if it killed her, but he had to smack her to get her to come back, and I guess she never actually came back. She came back, but she wasn't there. So, and that's, you know.
What do you mean by that?
She wasn't coherent. You know, she never talked again to him, but she, you know, he got her to breathe again.
And in the meantime, according to another cellmate, she suffered unspeakably.
He said a couple times he went in there and just put his hand over her face and nose to see if he could. He said, but she wouldn't die, like she didn't want to die.
According to another man housed with Wade, he even seemed to regard her suffering as an inconvenience for him.
And he said that she wouldn't eat is why he was hitting her with the belt stuff, trying to wake her up, but she wouldn't wake up.
Bit by bit, police are beginning to piece together the gut-wrenching reality of KJ's last days. While Wade claimed to have been attempting to feed her and care for her in her state of helplessness, this was a complete lie, and in fact, he was torturing her.
They got to the point where he was laying in bed one day, and he felt the need to take a torch that he had, and he said he burned her tongue, her clit, and her nipples, so that she would never feel arousal from another male again.
He said he even put her in a bathtub and dumped scalding hot water on her feet to see if she had any movement, and she wouldn't move, scream, or nothing. He said it was so hot that he boiled the water and dumped it on her. He said it burnt his skin and everything right off of it.
Since she was not bothered by it no more, he had to take it a step further to show her that when she was in the wrong, she was in the wrong.
The informants say that this is precisely when Wade injured KJ to the point of her incapacitation and eventual death.
Well, he said no matter what he did to her, that she had no movement, and eventually she just passed on her own.
Somehow, even after KJ's death, the hellish scene in Wade's apartment wasn't over. In fact, according to his cellmate, he wasn't even close to finished with KJ. It was then that Wade sunk to a low so unbelievable that his cellmate struggled to find the words.
He'd warm the body up and have sexual relations with it, or whatever you want to call it. You know, that's just, I was like, geez, you know, I wasn't trying to hear any of that, but he's a monster.
Can we back up to that part? What do you mean he warmed the body up ahead?
In the tub, he would run warm water on it and then cool it down with cold water after he did whatever he did with it.
And according to another informant, Wade shared sick details about his horrific actions openly.
He was like, Yeah, he was like, it was kind of rough at first. He was like, but her jaw just eventually opened up, and I just took advantage of it before I had to chop her up. I was like, whoa.
Meanwhile, as this nightmarish scenario took place, Wade's next-door neighbor Sherry started to notice a foul odor drifting into her own apartment.
But then, like, over the last 2 weeks, he was even standing there. I said, what is that smell? It smells like something died. Like something's dead. I thought maybe an animal or something. And he goes, well, there's a mouse in my wall. Maybe it died. First it smelled like gas, and it smelled like feces, and then it smelled like death.
It also seemed that the 5 or so weeks KJ's body was hidden in the coolers was no accident.
He was hoping that sitting in the totes for however long he kept her in there, that she would decompose enough that it wouldn't show the signs of the welts on her back and the bruising from him hitting her.
Wade told you that?
Yeah.
KJ's autopsy revealed multiple areas of bruising, including her chin, neck, and right ear. Her hyoid bone, situated at the top of the neck underneath the chin area, was fractured. This is considered a strong indicator of strangulation due to the rarity of fractures from other types of trauma. Ultimately, her death was ruled as a homicide by unspecified means.
He would sit and watch Criminal Minds and talk about, if I had it all, I wish I'd have watched this and I could have done it differently. The way he talked, it seemed like he has done it before.
According to his cellmates, it was Wade's total lack of remorse, even bragging, that set them off the most.
It's out there, man. He's just laughing about it, and he can talk about it like it's nothing to it. I mean, he jokes about it. He breaks out a police report and lets people, if you're interested in reading something that way, he'll let you read it. And it's beyond me. I mean, and he said he loves the girl. I mean, you don't love somebody and do this kind of stuff to him, man.
Right.
One cellmate explained that in addition to Wade's sick, unmerciful behavior, he was so proud of his actions that he felt he deserved notoriety. He nicknamed himself Chops, and he even hoped to write a book.
I know he said what would it really matter? Her parents and nobody wanted her.
Despite Wade's claims, KJ did have a family, one that was concerned about her well-being and wanted to see her be happy in life.
Somebody needs to stand up for that lady,
right?
You know, and
she has family,
and that's good to know. You know, but I don't know. I got to get the emotional part of it. You know, I feel for that. I feel for her family.
Yep, I completely agree. So do I.
And yeah, I'm just happy that I got to talk to you.
Sherry expressed her horror that she didn't see this coming.
I didn't think he could do something like that. Mm-hmm. But you don't know people. I mean, Ted Bundy, everybody liked him too.
When Wade's case went to trial, the first 2 searches of Wade's apartment were deemed unconstitutional on the grounds that Wade may have felt threatened during his detainment. It was also discovered that police officers falsely claimed to notice an odor coming from Wade's apartment in their reports. These claims were later recanted. Although Wade's defense aimed to suppress evidence obtained as a result of these initial searches, the appellate court ultimately ruled against them, stating that the discovery of the coolers was inevitable with a warrant, which at that point was already justified. In 2023, Wade was convicted of murder in the 2nd degree, as well as mutilation of a dead body. He pled no contest and was sentenced to 39 to 60 years in prison. But Wade's brutality didn't stop with KJ. He was also convicted of 3rd-degree criminal conduct after assaulting a fellow inmate in 2020. Once he discovered that his cellmates had spoken to police, he attacked one of the men.